Invite Ministries, and I am so excited to share the moment with Tony Miltenberger. Tony, welcome and congratulations.
Hey, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Man, so excited. Can't believe this day is here. Such a long time in the making.
I'm holding your book here, Wisdom in the Wound. We got ours in just a little while ago. I guess you had your unboxing video, right?
We did. I've been so incredibly blessed by an incredible community. And so one of the things that we did is we did a couple of speaking events to kind of get some other Christian executives and entrepreneurs who might be excited about the book to come and listen to a keynote that I give about the book. And so I sent copies out to all those people. So I had pre-ordered, 200 copies and got those in and got those sent out and is super excited. And then last night we had a huge party. It was a great way to celebrate all that God's done in this.
Oh my gosh. That is okay. So tell me about this launch party. What happened?
Yeah. So I am executive coach. And so I work with Christian executives and entrepreneurs. And I was talking to one of my executives and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about throwing a thank you party for all of the community that have kind of come around this project and have been so instrumental in supporting me. And he was like, well, we want to sponsor it. And so we rented out a local brewery who is just incredible, Loose Ends Brewery here in Centerville, Ohio. And we had 185 RSVPs. Now, 4 of them were like my Aunt Beck, who kept thinking she lost her ticket. So she just kept, finding new ones. So that number it's a soft 185, but the room was full and the energy was palpable. And I'm so incredibly thankful for the community that showed up. And we gave away books. It was so awesome.
That is so cool. Just wearing my author hat for a minute instead of publisher. I bet there was such a buzz for you in that moment. I've often said that publishing is like slow-mo excitement because you're laboring by yourself over a laptop for months, years, and then you have these moments like this, right, where it kind of all comes together, and you're like, oh, this is why I did this.
I honestly looked at my wife on our way home, and I said, I cannot believe that I know that many people, and what was interesting is I was the only person in the room who knew everyone because there's so many different walks of life, my church work, my personal business, my podcasting world, my sports world, and some of the work I get to do for the city of Centerville and the school district, and just an incredible evening of celebration. And it was such a blessing for me to give all of those people a book. And so kind of the deal is if they pre-ordered a book, and they registered for the event, I gave them a book for being there. So I signed one for them to keep. And then my prayer is that they'll give that book away to someone who might benefit from the work.
Brilliant idea, Tony. And for what it's worth, some of the most successful things we have seen done to support books are exactly that. You emphasize the ministry aspects of it. You give opportunities for people to share, to talk about it. That's really cool. So let's talk about the book a little bit. So your subtitle, How God Uses Your Past to Shape Who You're Becoming. So tell me about what this book is.
Yeah, this book is about looking at your internal emotional response. One of the things I say in the book and just really believe is that imagine what the world would look like if we stopped having emotional reactions and instead had intentional responses. Responses that were rooted in our values, rooted in a freedom that comes with Jesus Christ, rooted in a decision to say, I'm not going to let the moment dictate what's going to come out of my mouth. And man, what a timely release. I mean, if the world doesn't feel like people are just, I tell people all the time, if you want to see an example of why this work is important, just go on Facebook. It's incredible.
It's funny. Like you aim, you try to skate where the puck's going, right? So if you're an author, you're a publisher, you're like, what's happening in culture? Where's the zeitgeist at? And it's like you're writing and then sometimes it just kind of times up. We're like, oh, this book is really relevant right now. That's how I feel about your book.
Well, one of the things that I laugh at all the time, Len, and I want to share this story because I think it's a testament to who you are. I initially pitched this book to you several years ago. And the book, I don't know if you remember, I called it Cracks to Canyons. Yep, and it came out of my work that I had been praying through and thinking about during COVID. And my wife and I, during that season of life, like many of us, we took walks every single day. And so multiple walks. And so we were on our second walk of the day. And I looked over at my wife, Karen, and I said, babe, I've been here before.
Mm.
And she was like, yeah, dummy, we were here this morning. And I was like, no, not that, like emotionally, I've been here before. And it reminded me of this deployment and what happens under prolonged stress, the kind of stress that we experienced during COVID, is that it parallels stress that oftentimes soldiers and just all of us feel when the future feels so uncertain.
Mm.
And prolonged stress has this unique way of taking things in our life that we can ignore, we might call them cracks,
Yep.
and blowing them up into canyons. And I initially pitched this idea to you, and you very politely, very beautifully said, we're just not sure it's quite mature enough yet. And I appreciated the feedback, and I worked on it, and I prayed through it, and I was mad at you for a season, and all of that is okay. And then when we got back together, as this book is what it is today, it was a very quick yes for you. And I think sometimes God just lines up where that puck is going, knowing that the climate of the world needs a little bit emotional maturity now more than ever before.
Wow, I love that. I love that. That's exactly right. Yeah, and the Spirit goes before us both, right?
Yeah, amen. Amen.
I love that. Talk about, okay, so you mentioned deployment. You're a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a bit about the backstory of the book and how those might be connected.
Yeah, one of the unique things about my life as I began to pull a thread through everywhere that I've been, what I've always learned is I generally struggle with coping mechanisms. And when I was in high school, I remember a moment in my life where I was so angry at a young woman. Her name was Katie. And Katie decided to bounce a ball off of my head. And I didn't take it too very well. And I backhanded her. And I'm not proud of it.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was significantly stronger than she was. And it's the only time in my life I've ever hit a woman. And I have since repented. And what I realized is that I was having some anger issues. And so I started to do that work. And then I went into the Army, and the Army gave me a different outlet for those anger issues. But here's the thing about outlets is that if you never actually deal with the wound, the symptom will just keep showing up.
That's right.
And so I got into ministry, and I love ministry. I love the local church. Also, the local church is the closest thing that you'll ever find to the Army because it's mission driven. It's all the time. You know, I always joke the warrior ethos is I will always place the mission first. I'll never accept defeat. I'll never quit, and I'll never leave a fallen comrade. The Army says that all the time. But if I showed up at a church, I could put that on the back of a men's ministry shirt and everyone would buy it. The parallels are just uncanny. And the reality is I got into ministry and I found some success because I am a very mission-driven person. But no matter how mission-driven you are, if you don't learn to deal with your emotions, eventually your emotions will deal with you.
Wow.
And so that's where this book comes from, is the journey of my own emotional freedom, of learning how to cope well, and the journey of seeing other leaders in ministry and in the world, executives and entrepreneurs, wrestle with what does it mean to have personal freedom. And so that's kind of my prayer, and that's my hope, and that's my ask to God is, Lord, will you give the people who read this book a taste of freedom that comes from you?
One of the things I love the most about this is in my own story, I've journeyed through the similar kind of dark night and gotten to the place of being seeing wisdom on the far side, if you will. And I love talking to people who have had that similar journey. It's nothing against the younger people or people who haven't gone through it. It's just part of life,
right?
Part of the path you go down. But when you have been on the other side of that and you discover what true wisdom is and the relationship of the wound to the wisdom, and you're able to connect those things. And so you're not ignoring the wounds, but you're integrating those wounds into your life, and you're owning the wounds, you're embracing the wounds, right? And you're talking as a result of that. That's where the true wisdom comes from. Yeah,
one of the texts that I really like to pull from when I'm preaching about this topic is 2 Corinthians 5:16 through 21. And it talks about this idea of ministry of reconciliation. And then we get to 2 Corinthians 5:17, where it says, so that you can be Christ's ambassador. And there's an interesting connection that I think Paul is making. Christ reconciles our wounds through his own wounds. And so as we mature, we can begin to see our wounds on the cross with Jesus.
Wow.
And as we begin to understand that, then the gift is we get to then go be the light of Christ to the world. We actually get to be the ambassador.
Yeah.
So we live in a here and now, and, kind of like a what is to come and a not yet. Yeah. So like, I know that I'm broken and I know that I'm a new creation, and the tension that those two things bring together is how we walk out our faith every single day.
Wow. That's so eloquent, Tony. I can tell you preach.
I love it. I love it. And I do get a little preachy, but here's the truth is like, I have a good friend, Justin Gravitt. He says all the time that information plus application is what leads to transformation.
Wow. Yeah.
And so there's a reason why sermons don't change our life all the time, because it's really good information, but it's not always good application, which then struggles to get us to full transformation. And so kind of why I think a book like this is important is not because of the writing. The writing is okay. I'm proud of it. But the truth is, the best part about this book is that you're going to be able to take this book, you're going to be able to go to a friend, and you're going to be able to work on it together. And you and that friend will transform your life if you do the work that happens in the book.
Okay, let's talk about the book a little bit, because you just said work on it together. And I want to emphasize something. So you've got these exercises throughout the book. So I'm looking right here at the end of chapter 1. I don't know if this shows up very well, but you've got some exercises listed here. So this is designed not just as a read. This is designed as a do, if you will, right? There's like a sense of application, which can happen personally. It can happen with groups. We encourage that with groups. In fact, let me kind of drop a little explanatory here piece. We publish, to all the bookstores, right? So your book is anywhere in the world.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. You'll see your book show up at an English-speaking bookstore in Italy or something. I'll send you links. It's really fun. So you see all this stuff. 90% of people buy through Amazon, which is great, right? Amazon, it's like, if you don't on Amazon, it doesn't exist. So we got it out there. It's good. In fact, we looked a minute ago. You were ranked number 3 in new releases.
It's crazy.
As of right now on trauma psychology and Amazon. So I want to encourage your listeners and the people that you're connected with, encourage you to share this, that if people are buying the book as a one-off for themselves, if they want to hand it to a friend, use it in a ministry context, Amazon's the best place to go to do that. Obviously, the reviews, the rankings, all those things. We also have it set up on the inviteministries.org website, where if you buy 10 plus, a series of tiered bulk discounts begin to apply. So that's better for your readers than Amazon, because you got these bulk discounts that kick in as well. So if someone wants to use it in a group setting, I like pointing people to the site, because that's a better win-win for everybody involved. Nothing wrong with Jeff Bezos getting us 55%, but we can do it this way, and we could have bulk discounts, and it's good for everybody. So that's kind of how we say that. So Amazon for one-offs and Invite for the bulk.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I'm just so excited to see what God does is what happens to generations of families as they begin to do this work. Right. And so imagine this is the kind of work that if you're willing to wade into the quagmire of emotions, you can absolutely change the relationship above you in your family, and you can change the relationship below you in your family. So for me, that's my aging parents and my rising children, and that's my hope. That's what I want. That's what I want for you, Len. That's what I want for everybody who's watching is to experience that taste of freedom that comes with Christ when we sit in our feelings and do the work.
We've had a couple of we've had a lot of great endorsements for the book. I want to share a couple of them. Brigadier General Charles, is it Causey? Is that how you say it?
Causey, yep. Chaplain Causey.
Yeah, an invitation to wholeness and a roadmap to becoming the kind of leader the world desperately needs. Wonderful endorsement there from the general. And then your friend Carlos Whitaker expertly guides leaders through pain in a way that honors wounds and helps us see how God can use them as gifts, as we've been discussing. And so many other endorsements that are coming out. And I can't wait to see the reviews that start to pour in on Amazon the next few days. I think this is a special book, Tony. I think that you've done the hard work. Part of this conversation talks about the hard work and the years that have gone into it. It's not a big book, but this book shows a big chunk of your life, if you will, I think is represented here. And I'm proud of what you've done. I'm proud to partner with you, and let's just see what God wants to do with this thing.
I am so excited to see what God does. And I'm so thankful for you, Len, and for Invite. And for those of you that don't know Len very well, let me just say this. He was willing to deal with me throughout this entire process. I am a control freak. I'm a type A drama queen. I have strong opinions and strong feelings. And so Len was and Steven and the whole team over at Invite was just so great to work with in this process and in dealing with me and my million questions. And Len and I got into a really good debate about the cover of the title of the book, and we landed on something so much better than what either of us originally had. And so I'm thankful for your heart and your willingness to not settle and keep pushing for greatness. And that's for you and your team. I do appreciate it.
It's our honor, Tony. We are so excited about this book. So, Wisdom in the Launch, congratulations, launch day on this great new work.